All right, guys, here we are, man. Breaking news. My boy Ryan from Flying Rock from Flock Rundown just texted me and said Harbaugh's gone. And I said, "What? Like, are you for real?" And then I checked X and I saw the notifications. Jeff Zrebiec reported that the Baltimore Ravens, after 18 seasons, have officially moved on from head coach John Harbaugh. Whoa, man. I am shocked, man. A lot of Ravens fans have been calling for this, but the fact that it actually happened is just a whole nother level for me. I didn't think right after the Baltimore Ravens extended John Harbaugh for 3 years in March. Literally a few months ago, they extended John Harbaugh. Coaches' contracts are guaranteed. That didn't matter to Steve Bisciotti. He was ready for a fresh voice in the locker room. And as you can see, they pulled the trigger, man. The Baltimore Ravens have officially moved on from head coach John Harbaugh. Thanks to everyone popping in on the live stream. We have our first super chat. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. By heart. I don't feel that way, man. I appreciate the super chat. But I'm grateful for John Harbaugh. He did bring a Super Bowl championship here to Baltimore. We had a lot of fun years as Ravens fans, a lot of success, but also, as we know, a lot of heartbreak. And it just was too much heartbreak. It was too much heartbreak for the ownership, Lamar Jackson, the fan base, man. And what's really telling to me, this is just a live, raw reaction. We're just getting the news, just getting the notification, wanted to hop on live with you guys to react to this crazy news, man. So I don't even have my thoughts or notes together. I just wanted to hop on with the For the Flock family to react. But crazy, man. Crazy. He says Zach Orr should be shortly behind from Nikita Ross. Thanks for the super. Appreciate you, Nikita, for all the love and support you've been showing in these live streams. Yeah, definitely. Good point here, Nikita, because here's the thing, man. Whenever a new head coach comes in, they're going to bring their own guys. I don't see Zach Orr sticking around. It's also reported, if you guys haven't seen it yet, that Todd Monken is interviewing for the Browns, the Cleveland Browns head coaching position. So he's a candidate to become a head coach. He also had a head coaching interview with Michigan before they hired their new coach. So it'd be interesting to see if Todd Monken sticks around or not, and who is up on the agenda. Who's next, man? I'm telling you what, there's going to be a whole lot of teams excited to take over for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and the other talent they have on this team, a well-run organization that gives the coaching staff time to make changes. We've had Harbaugh for 18 years before that, Billick for all those years. So, yeah, wow. Here it is, guys. I'm just reacting with you guys here live. Another super chat from Emerald King 54. Don't like this. Who can replace him? Let's talk about this while we're live here reacting. There's a couple of guys that I would be really excited about. Thank you for the super, by the way. The Seattle Seahawks. We know the Seattle Seahawks snagged Mike Macdonald from us, right? Mike Macdonald has the Seahawks with Sam Darnold as the number 1 seed in the NFC, leading the Seahawks to the best record in football. Mike Macdonald, heck of a coach. He's the one that got away, right? Guess who their offensive coordinator is? Clint Kubiak, who, by the way, run-heavy system, ball control system with Sam Darnold managing the game, relying on stars. Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Cooper Kupp led that offense to one of the best offenses in football. Then, of course, he's got his head coach as the coordinator scheming things up. So that's why the Seahawks are so dangerous this year. But I'm interested. I'm intrigued by Clint Kubiak. How fun would it be, guys? How fun would it be, guys, to have an offensive-minded head coach come in? Like, what would that look like to have an Andy Reid mind, a Sean McVay mind, a Shanahan mind, one of these offensive gurus to come in and lead the Baltimore Ravens? What would that look like to have a head coach that's like knows offensive X and O's in and out and could like get the most out of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in their prime. I still think Derrick Henry has another big season in him, the way he prepares. Lamar Jackson, he's about to get signed to a contract extension, but even if he doesn't, he'll still be here. I know he's on a $70 million cap hit next year, but Lamar Jackson ain't going anywhere. It wouldn't be a smart move for the ownership. People are talking about this, but Lamar Jackson, he's the heartbeat of the franchise. He's the one that sells tickets, makes revenue. Obviously, that helps the owner with business, right? Got another super chat. And we'll get to this more, Emerald King. We'll get to this more, some other replacements here. We'll get to that in a second. You guys can already start to let me know in the live who you would like to see, and we'll go through those guys. Who's next to get fired? New head coach option. Like we said, Clint Kubiak's an interesting one, offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Another one that catches my eye is Rams offensive coordinator, who happens to be Mike LaFleur. Out of this lineage, he used to be the Jets offensive coordinator back in 2023. Didn't work out great, but also didn't have a great team and support around him. But he's now coaching under Sean McVay, who's a genius offensively. And then there's also the Rams defensive coordinator, who would be very, very intriguing. All these guys that we're mentioning, by the way, are very young minds. Chris Shula is the defensive coordinator for the Rams. He's only 39 years old. It looks like we're going to get ourselves a young voice in here. You know, I heard some rumors about John Gruden. That would be fun. Brian Flores is out there. There's also some good coordinators out there. Jim Schwartz, Steve Spagnuolo, a great defensive mind that's beat Lamar Jackson like 6 out of 7 times. We also have Anthony Weaver, defensive coordinator for Miami Dolphins, who me and Ryan were talking about this last night. Every time I hear Anthony Weaver talk, like he just gets you ready to run through a wall. He gets the guys going. He's a voice that resonates in the locker room. Dude, I'm just looking at all these comments, the live reaction. Some of you guys are probably just hopping in, hearing the news. Stat Padford, bro, oh my goodness, I'm so happy. Jets fan here, thanks for the insight. We got a Jets fan here. Kubiak or Flores would be great fits. Interesting. Thanks for the insight there. Thanks for the super chat. Rex Ryan, people are saying. Let's see what other ones in the comments, man. We got Peter. He says, oh my goodness. Finally. Bring the defense back. Flores, Ray, and Ed. Dude, can you imagine if Ray Lewis or Ed Reed came in to be the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens? I know they still got a relationship with Steve Bisciotti, that's for sure. I don't know if they're ready to hop in at a head coach position right now. I don't know what they're doing with their – but we also know that Ed Reed was a head coach for in college football a few years ago. So, yes, Exam 9 says, is this real? Someone else commented, Vikings defensive coordinator. Who's the Vikings defensive coordinator right now? You guys are going to help me out. All right. Oh, yeah, Brian Flores. That's who we were talking about. I didn't realize he was still the Vikings coordinator. Cam Cameron. Oh, people were saying Bill Belichick. Gruden would be, hey, man, Gruden gets the people going. He's also like an offensive genius. People are saying Robert Saleh, Eric Bieniemy, Flores. I'm kind of on the Mike LaFleur, Clint Kubiak, Rams offensive coordinator. I kind of want, let me know what you guys think in the comments. You guys want a defensive-minded guy or an offensive-minded guy? To me, it's just like we've never seen a defensive or an offensive-minded head coach with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Like, what would that look like? What to do this draft? Hey, man, this offseason is going to be so wild, so exciting. The Ravens have the 14th overall pick, baby. And the last time they had the 14th overall pick, they ended up walking away with Kyle Hamilton. And then later they double-dipped, got back in the first round after trading Marquise Hollywood Brown, and then got Tyler Linderbaum. They got 2 All-Pros in one draft. Man, This is exciting, guys, but what would you do in this draft? Hey, I'm going after the trenches. I'm going after defensive and offensive trenches. I'm getting me another pass rusher, young pass rusher to pair up with Mike Green, hopefully bring back a Draymond Jones or, make a splash in free agency. You need more pass rush. Aaron Rodgers was making pancakes, cooking hot dogs back there in the pocket. Too many times have we had quarterbacks with their season high passing yards and passer rating when they would play the Baltimore Ravens. Why is that? Well, a big part of that is they were too comfortable. Zach Orr is probably not returning. Like we said, whoever the new head coach is going to come in and make their mark, bring their guys. But yeah, I'm going trenches. I'd love to build a wall in front of Lamar Jackson. Imagine Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson with an above average offensive line right now. They were already doing crazy damage, putting up historic numbers with an average offensive line. Last year, the offensive line was still an issue with the guard play. And then this year, we still had an above average offense statistically and with a below average offensive line. What would Lamar Jackson look like and Derrick Henry look like with an above average or an elite offensive line? It would be scary. It would be nasty. I mean, last time you saw it in 2019 when the Ravens had a wall, I mean, Lamar Jackson, even with, Seth Roberts and Willie Snead as his top receivers, 36 passing touchdowns to 6 interceptions and won the MVP, ridiculous passer rating. So even if you don't have elite receivers, if you build a wall up there in front of Lamar Jackson, and you got, even Zay, hopefully you bring back Likely. You got Bateman still under contract. You could still do some damage. I'd love to see an offensive-minded head coach plus a wall in front of the offense. You could put up historic numbers again. Lamar Jackson, you saw what he did in this last finale, having to make magic. He's collapsed on by 2 Steelers edge defenders. Absolutely magic, rips out of it. Finds Zay Flowers 50 yards downfield. He had the clutch in his veins, making touchdown bomb after touchdown bomb. However, the defense let him down. So, yeah. Thank you, the Modern Gunslinger, for the super chat, the $9.99. A big thank you for everything Coach Harbaugh has done for us. Some tough years shouldn't define his legacy. Hey, respect for this comment, my brother. That's why earlier I was saying, hey, I don't feel like angry or any animosity towards Harbaugh. I'm shocked that the Ravens moved on from Harbaugh, that they actually pulled the trigger. I'm shocked. I really am. But I'm also really grateful. I mean, he won a Super Bowl here with the Ravens. There are still NFL organizations that have been out there for 50, 60, 70 plus years that have never even been in a Super Bowl or won a Super Bowl. And we have 2 under our belt in a relatively short amount of time. The Ravens were founded in 96. John Harbaugh, multiple AFC championship appearances, 1 Super Bowl championship. So he also had a very competitive team. There wasn't many years that you can remember Harbaugh was here where we weren't playing meaningful football in December and January. You know what I'm saying? Even this year with the ups and downs, starting 1-5, the team rattled back and still had a chance to win and get in. So it was time for change. It was time for a fresh voice. To me, it was really telling whenever Lamar Jackson was asked, do you think John Harbaugh is the right guy for the team? And he didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He said, I can't think about that right now. I'm paraphrasing. But the fact that he didn't say yes, he's the right guy, was shocking and telling. And then same thing with Ronnie Stanley. Ronnie Stanley had a similar response. So thank you for the super big thank you to John Harbaugh for everything he's done. I'm just more shocked that the Ravens actually did it, especially with 3 years still guaranteed on his contract and all the relationship he's built. He's literally neighbors with Eric DaCosta. He has been very competitive. He won a Super Bowl, but it was time for a change, time for a fresh voice. Here's the thing, though. The New York Giants were already eyeing John Harbaugh as their possible replacement. They were waiting to hire their new head coach, seeing if John Harbaugh will be available. There's going to be a lot of teams, probably the Browns. That would be intriguing and wild to think about. But the Browns, the Giants, Jets, and all kinds of other teams, Raiders, going to be calling up John Harbaugh. He's going to have his phone blowing up very soon. He is a tenured, well-respected head coach around the league. He was the second longest tenured head coach in the NFL behind Mike Tomlin. So he's got respect. He's going to get phone calls. He's going to have an opportunity somewhere. Personally, I think Mike McDaniel, Mike McDonald was our guy. I agree. I would also be intrigued by Anthony Weaver. Hey, he was a candidate for defensive coordinator for the Ravens. He ended up they gave it to Zach Orr. And then he became the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, had some good success there with the Dolphins. And he's a great leader. And there's familiarity there with Steve Bisciotti, Eric DeCosta. That would be intriguing. Like I said, some of these young offensive coordinators, Rams offensive coordinator and Seahawks offensive coordinator would fire me up just because I would love to see an offensive mind with Derrick Henry, with Lamar Jackson in their prime. Kevin Stefanski, that would be interesting. I mean, he is a really smart offensive mind, and he did have some really high success there with the Browns. How many seasons? Let's see. The Browns under Kevin Stefanski. I want to see how many seasons he was actually there. Somebody help a brother out. He has a with the Cleveland Browns, he was there from 2020 to 2026. So he got 6 years. He had a 1-2 record in the postseason and a 46-58 career record. However, he was like rebuilding the Browns. And he had a lot of fluctuation at the quarterback position. But good idea. I don't know. I feel like I'd be more intrigued by some other prospects, but Stefanski is an option. Thank you for the super there, Jay Shiesty. Trade Bateman to the Cowboys for Tyler Smith. Hey, the Cowboys were actually interested in trading for Rashad Bateman. That's what was reported before they went out and got George Pickens. I wonder if they would want another receiver. But it'll be intriguing to see if Bateman comes back. If the Ravens trade him, if they release him, he's on a cheap contract. Hopefully you rebuild the chemistry you had from 2024 when Rashad Bateman had over 700 yards and 9 touchdowns and looked like a legit wide receiver too. You know what I'm saying? We got to get that Bateman back. He's also still very young. He's like the same age as Zay Flowers. By the way, Zay Flowers is also up for a contract extension. He is now eligible, but the Ravens they still got time. They can pick up the 5th-year option, and then, he's only going into year 4. But the crazy fact is Zay Flowers he just had himself a 1,200-yard season in a Pro Bowl. So, I mean, his price is going up. But he also just showed up in those big-time clutch time moments. We also never got to see Zay Flowers in the playoffs since the AFC Championship where he fumbled at the goal line. Zay Flowers missed the Buffalo game and the Steelers playoff game last year. Who do you think is up? Defensive restructure. Absolutely. Major overhaul, defensive restructure. Brand new defensive coordinator. Definitely foresee it. Like I said, if you guys are just now tuning in, breaking news, right? John Harbaugh and the Ravens have officially parted ways after 18 seasons. Now, also reported Todd Monken has interviewed for the head coaching position with the Cleveland Browns. So we could see a complete overhaul. How crazy would that be, man? Brand new offensive coordinator, brand new defensive coordinator, maybe a brand new special teams coordinator, and new head coach. Wow. Getting some mixed takes out here from the media world. Someone says here, John Harbaugh is a top 5 NFL head coach. John Harbaugh is elite with players. John Harbaugh is elite with fans. John Harbaugh is elite off the field. John Harbaugh is a Baltimore legend. He's a Super Bowl champ. The Ravens firing him is ridiculous, is what he says. I could not disagree with this take more. Maybe the fact that he is a top 5 NFL head coach, that he does field a winning team almost every single season. He is competitive. But to say that he's elite with fans and players, I don't think so. That's not the message that's come out of the locker room with the players, and certainly not with the fans lately. John Harbaugh, I do believe, is elite off the field. He's awesome. He's awesome character. He's open about his faith. He's a Christian, and I wish him nothing but the best. I love John Harbaugh. I love the leadership, like what he stands for, the morality. But it was time for a change. Sometimes it's not like you're doing a terrible job and you suck. Sometimes it's just like, hey, it's time for us and for you to have a fresh scenery. And that's what, to me, this move is for the Baltimore Ravens. 1,141 live right now, reacting to the breaking news. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the supers. I love seeing your guys' thoughts and opinions. I'm trying to get to some of these other chat, but it's blowing up. Yeah. So defensive coach from the Vikings, Josh Frost says, who is Brian Flores. So Brian Flores would be intriguing. Anthony Weaver, defensive coordinator, Dolphins, would be intriguing. Mike LaFleur, Clint Kubiak, all these guys, Don Shula. But here's what I do know. I do know that Steve Bisciotti is very competent, very competitive. In fact, the reason why he's willing to part ways with his head coach after just extending him and still having to pay him is because he's competitive and he wants to win now. He said it in an interview this offseason. They said, I'm tired of waiting for another Super Bowl. I want one now. And you see the Ravens spend up to the salary cap every single year. You know, Eric DeCosta has made trades at the deadline almost every single year. The Ravens are in a prime window with Lamar Jackson in his prime. I still think Derrick Henry has some really good football left. You could say maybe he's past his prime a little bit, but they still got Zay Flowers in his prime. Hopefully they extend Isaiah Likely in his prime. They got Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton in his prime, Linderbaum, Stanley. They got a great pieces right now to build around. They've got some work to do in the draft and in free agency. But, man, am I excited to see who they bring in as head coach. A lot of people saying Brian Flores. A lot of people here saying Brian Flores. People saying Pete Carroll. Who's the best head coach available? Hey, Steve Spagnuolo would be interesting. Very, very interesting. He is a genius defensive mind. A lot of Flores is here. A lot of people saying Flores. Flores was a head coach for the Miami Dolphins, and then he went on to be, after getting fired, became the defensive coordinator for the Vikings. So, some options here. There also probably could be some guys in the college football landscape, but here was my point. I know with how competent Steve Bisciotti is and how competitive he is, and Eric DeCosta as well, they will 100% San Fran, D.C. You're talking about, what's his name? Just totally blanked. Robert Saleh. Yeah, he's been a heck of a coordinator. He was also the head coach for the Jets before he got fired. Another super. We need to extend Isaiah Likely. Do you agree? Yes. Yes. Please extend Isaiah Likely. I don't care if you have to pay a little bit more than he would get in free agency. He's clutch, man. How many times has he shown up clutch in the playoffs last year? Game-winning drive against the Buffalo Bills. Clutch. And when you got to win against the Steelers last year, clutch. This year, 4th and 7, season on the line. You don't get the conversion. You're done. He goes up and high points the ball with one of the craziest catch radiuses I've ever seen. Lamar Jackson trusts him in the big moments. I think if he was a tight end one and got more targets, this guy could be an 800 to 1,000-yard type of tight end, Pro Bowl type of player. He's a talented tight end. Is he the best blocker in the world? No, but he's got effort. He gets out in space and blocks people well, that's for sure. He's not huge. That's like his one, but he's got great ball skills. I'd love to see, love to see Likely back. And the contract that we extended Mark Andrews to isn't guaranteed past the first year, so you could easily bring back Mark for a year, extend Likely for a few years, and then cut Mark the next year, or you could leave them both there and just have Likely take over more snaps. Tim Vesh, thank you for the super. Thank you for the 2. Why not just give Munkin a shot at the helm? Hey, interesting option. However, You could say that he was part of the not running Derrick Henry in those games, especially the AFC Championship and against the Patriots. It's been kind of a theme a little bit. Sometimes he gets impatient. I don't know, but I do like Monken. I do think he's a great offensive coordinator. I would like to see him back as offensive coordinator. Jesus UCSB, thank you for the super. He says Deport. Yeah, thanks for the super. Appreciate you. Clean house. Man, you guys are coming in with the love. Matt Burke, Texans defensive coordinator. I saw that name out there. That would be very intriguing as well. Matt Burke, young coach, not as young as like Mike LaFleur and Kubiak on the Seahawks, those offensive minds, but intriguing option there. Thanks for the super, by the way. He says Matt Burke, defensive coordinator for the Texans, to replace John Harbaugh as head coach, replace Todd Monken with Mike Denbrock, who's the Notre Dame offensive coordinator. He's got the whole thing mapped out for us, guys. Replace Zach Orr with Matt Patricia, Ohio State DC. Hey, Matt Patricia had some good run, had some good defenses in the NFL. I think he was the Lions head coach for a little bit. Didn't work out great for him. But he's coordinated some good defenses. Please extend Lamar. Lamar's not going anywhere, guys. Lamar, I would be very surprised if Lamar went anywhere. He's still under contract for another 2 years. It's just the cap hits go crazy. So they're going to have to extend him to make the roster good. If they can't extend him, then they have to absorb a $70 million cap hit where he's taking up like 30% of the cap. Like, that's going to be rough. You're not going to be able to build a very competitive roster. You're not going to be able to go out in free agency. It's going to be rough. But yeah, I would be very intrigued by Matt Burke. I want to see Matt Burke, obviously, is under DeMeco Ryans, and Matt Burke is coordinating the best defense in NFL right now. The Texans are rolling on defense, by the way, guys. I mean, they're number one in like passing, top 5 in rushing, number 1 in points per game, number 1 in sacks. Yeah, Matt Burke is 49 years old, defensive coordinator for the Dolphins and for the Texans. Interesting name there. Good point there. Thanks for the super. All right. Got another super. Clint Kubiak, Brian Flores, or Jim Schwartz, my pick. I like those names. I would be more fired up probably about Clint Kubiak and Brian Flores than I would be Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz, I think, is a good defensive mind, though. Clint Kubiak really intrigues me. I just think having an offensive mind would just be like a guy that's been an offensive coordinator and is creative and like has that DNA in them to create offense would be so intriguing to have that with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Like, really exciting. By the way, Clint Kubiak is only 38 years old. Offensive coordinator for only 1 season with the Seahawks. Would he be ready to be a head coach? I don't know. He's getting some pretty good experience from Mike McDonald right now. That's for sure. Yeah. That would be exciting, guys. Brian Flores as well. Brian Flores, every time I've heard him talk, I thought, man, this guy, he's a player's coach. Like, he gets people going. You know what I mean? He's a great leader of men from what I've seen, and a great motivator. But, I mean, he's been the defensive coordinator for the Vikings the last few years and had some good success with the Vikings. Intriguing here. See where the Vikings rank defensively. I feel like he's coordinated some pretty solid defenses there with the Vikings. Yeah, guys, the Vikings overall have the 3rd best defense in yards per game. So Two of the names that were just mentioned in the super chats, Matt Burke, defensive coordinator for the Texans. They have the best defense in football, allowing 277 yards per game. And the other name, Brian Flores, defensive coordinator for the Vikings, third best defense in football at 282. Interesting enough, Brian Flores also has head coaching experience. So you also, I feel like you get a little bit of a higher floor there with this. At least you know what it's like to be a head coach at the NFL level. Wow, thank you for the super chat there. Maisha, did I say that right? Maisha Dion. Keep up the great work, Noah. This is going to be wild. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, but thank you so much for the 20. Thank you for the encouragement. And yes, I agree. This indeed is going to be wild. Like probably one of the craziest off seasons we've ever seen. Like crazy. I mean, John Harbaugh, guys, I'm 27 years old, right? John Harbaugh has been the head coach since since I was like 9 years old. I don't even think I was in middle school yet when John Harbaugh took over. I mean, John Harbaugh has been the head coach for the Ravens for so long. It's really all I've known as like a diehard Ravens fan where I really got into the team. So to see that, to see the excitement. Two comments back to back. Brumman says, feels like Christmas morning. And then someone said Christmas came early. Vic Fangio, be interesting. Great defensive mind. He's also got head coach experience, I think, with the Broncos, right? Ed Reed for DC. People saying bring back Mike McDonald. Here's the thing, though. Like, Mike McDonald ain't going nowhere, guys. He's got the number one seed in the NFC right now with the Seattle Seahawks. Ain't going nowhere, guys. Oh man, what like crazy breaking news, guys. 18 years. John Harbaugh is gone. Like, I'm still trying to process it out loud with you guys. Another super fantastic floss. Thank you for the super there. Just joined up, but let me get Spagnuolo or Gruden. So if you're just tuning in, thanks for the super. But some of the names have been thrown out there. Matt Burke, defensive coordinator for the Texans. Kubiak, offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. Mike LaFleur, offensive coordinator for the Rams. Brian Flores, defensive coordinator for the Vikings. Anthony Weaver, who's been here with the Ravens, almost took over as defensive coordinator, but Zach Orr got the job. He's the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. A lot of fun, interesting names here. I just can't believe that, like how many times, guys, after games have we been hearing John Harbaugh's press conferences, like even the offseason press conferences that are coming up, like for the draft and for like the season recap, like we're not going to be hearing from John Harbaugh. It's crazy. Like that's been the voice in this locker room for so long now. And we have change coming, man. Dang, the offseason starting already. Yes, bro. Make sure you guys are locked in, subscribe and notification bell on for this offseason because it's going to be wild. We're going to be breaking down free agent targets, free salary cap, draft coming up in April, free agencies in March. We're going to have a new head coach here soon, very soon. The Baltimore Ravens will have a new head coach, man. Let's go. It's going to be so exciting. It could go terribly wrong or it could go terribly great, and they could be the next guy to help bring Lamar Jackson over the hump to win a Super Bowl. That's what happened with Elway. Elway couldn't get over the hump, couldn't get the most out of him in the playoffs. Fire head coach, bring in new head coach. Elway gets his ring. I think we could see something similar with Lamar Jackson. Bring in Dion. Says Clark HD. Thank you for the supers, guys. You guys are showing mad love today, and I really do appreciate it, man. Deion Sanders. Hey. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. I'd get some media attention, that's for sure. Let's see what's popping on X here. Wow. Okay, so here's the official statement, guys, released by the Baltimore Ravens 1 minute ago. This is the statement. Well, I was hoping for a different kind of message on my last day here. Someday, but that day has come today. It comes with disappointment, certainly, but with more gratitude and appreciation. Gratitude to the owner and organization. This is from John Harbaugh, guys. Gratitude to the owner and organization who is willing to bring in a head coach who made his mark with special team success. A difficult thing to do. An appreciation for all the moments, all the years that are etched into eternity. I hope a legacy built on faith, always fighting, always believing. Values built into an organization through a team that are worthwhile, good and lasting, and that are admired by fans and foes alike. Meaningful and impactful relationships with players through the years that I will always cherish. Grateful for their strength and courage, loyal partnerships in this wonderful building that grew into strong friendships through the toil and tempest of the job every day. John Harbaugh goes on to say, mostly my treasured family, my Ingrid and my Allison, who are beyond compare in every way in the loves of my life, and my close-knit family and good friends who stick with you no matter what. Finally, to the author and finisher of our faith, gratitude for a journey beyond anything I could have dreamed on my own. All is well with my soul because of the good God who guides me and sustains me. This is the type of character John Harbaugh is, that even in the news of getting fired after 18 years, building a family here in Baltimore, winning a Super Bowl, multiple AFC championships, he comes out with gratitude. That's how you handle adversity, guys, like gratitude. So that's really powerful. I wish the best to John Harbaugh. It was just like we said, it was time for a change. Steve Bisciotti says, this was an incredibly difficult decision. Given the tremendous 18 years we spent together, our goal has always been and always will be to win championships. We strive to consistently perform at the highest level on the field. Unfortunately, the Ravens did not perform at the highest level on the field. Bring in Dion, maybe Mike Tomlin. Whew, that would be crazy if he moved on from Pittsburgh, came to Baltimore. Then another super chat from Cody. Thank you guys for the love. I heard Danny O'Shea is looking for a new job. Hey, man, so many options to break down. Unfortunately, guys, I would love to stay here and chat with you guys all night, but I got to run. I got something going at 6 o'clock. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the love. Thank you to the supers. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this live reaction with me. Make sure you guys stay tuned for upcoming videos. We're going to have videos for you guys with the top head coaching candidates, some more details about them, research about them, of course, draft and free agency. But thanks for tuning in, man. I love you guys. Appreciate y'all. And we'll see you in the next video.